Please stand.
What would I do without your smart mouth, drawing me in and you kicking me out? Got my head spinning, no kidding, I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? I'm on your magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what it means, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves
Marriage is what brings us together today. Welcome, family and friends. You have been invited here today to celebrate the very special love that Bob and Aussie have for each other. And you've also been invited here because each and every one of you has a special place in their lives. Bob and Aussie, your marriage today is the public joining of your souls that have already been united as one in your hearts. And in all of our hearts, there are many different kinds of love, all of which are present here today. There is romantic love, the love of parents and children, of brothers and sisters, and love among friends. The love you two share, though, that romantic love, will sustain you through this marriage. In addition, the love collectively gathered in this park from friends and family will help sustain and support the promises you make here today. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 tells us that there is a time for everything, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. But now is the time for a wedding. Who is giving Aussie to Bob today? You may all be seated. Bob, I still remember when Christy called to tell me that you were wanting to bring a special someone to our house to meet us. I was out of town, but I remember calling home afterward and asking Christy how things went and what she thought. And Christy said, you know, the girls really, really like Aussie, and my dad seems happier than I've seen him in a long, long time. I think everybody here can think back to when they first met Aussie or when they first met Bob. You could just tell there was something special going on between the two of them. Aussie and Bob, I think it's clear to anyone that has seen you two together and spend any time around the two of you, that you bring tremendous joy into each other's lives. And that is really what marriage is about, finding someone that you can love unconditionally and who loves you unconditionally, and that absolute love brings so much joy, it just can't help but pour out for everyone else to see. As Forrest Gump said, I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. And sitting in front of us here today, ladies and gentlemen, is love. Aussie and Bob are honoring Aussie's Persian heritage by incorporating a small element of the Arusi wedding tradition into their ceremony, the canopy. As the bride and groom are seated before you, a canopy is held above their heads by several unmarried women, traditionally family members. Keisha, Heidi, Cece, Lily. If you come forward now and hold the canopy over Bob and Ossie's head. And as the ceremony is taking place, happily married members of the family take turns grinding 2 sugar cones together so that the sugar granules fall into the canopy, symbolically showering the couple in sweetness. And they'll come up and rotate throughout the next portion of the ceremony. I'm going to come this way so I can see you guys a little bit better too. Bob and Ossie, I charge you both as you stand in the presence of God to remember that love and loyalty will serve as foundations of a happy and enduring marriage. If the solemn vows which you are about to make are kept permanently, and if you steadfastly seek to do the will of our God and Father in heaven, your life will be full of peace and joy. Now, Robert Edward Renning, do you take Ossie Ansari Cole to be your wife?
I do.
And Ossie Ansari Cole, do you take Robert Edward Renning to be your husband? Ossie Cole, do you take Robert Renning to be your husband?
Translated, the bride will bring some rose water.
Ossie, do you take Bob to be your husband?
I do.
Bob and Ossie have written their own vows to exchange with each other today.
I, Bob, take you, Ossie, to be my wife. I promise before God, our family, and friends to love you without hesitation, to love you as you are and as you are not, to be open and honest with you always, to stand by you, to respect you, and to honor you without any hesitation. Your sorrows will be my sorrows. I will comfort you and cry with you. Your joy will be my joy. I will laugh and celebrate with you, and I will cherish you for as long as we both shall live.
I, Ossie, take you, Bob, to be my husband. I promise before God, our family, and friends to love you as you are and as you are not, to be open and honest with you always, to stand by you, to respect you, to honor you without hesitation. Your sorrows will be my sorrows. I will comfort you and cry with you. Your joy will be my joy. I will laugh with you and celebrate with you. And I will cherish you for as long as we shall live.
May I have the rings, please? Rings?
What ring?
Matthias?
Where are the rings, Matthias?
Yep. That's all right. It'll clean up later.
You ever wonder where the tradition of wedding rings come from? I was curious about it. It came from the Romans, who believed that the fourth finger on the left hand contained a vein they called the vena amore, or the vein of love, which was connected directly to the heart. The ring was a gateway from the giver of the ring to the heart of the recipient. Now, whether that's true or not, our culture has adopted the custom of giving and receiving rings. Our culture views them as a sign that you are taken or as a reminder of your commitment to your spouse, but it also reflects the symbol of your spouse's commitment to you. Bob and Aussie, these rings are symbols of the vows you have just spoken. Words are intangible and difficult to hold on to, so these rings become a vessel which will hold the words you have given to one another. The commitment you have just made is now encased in these rings. It is a physical way to hold on to the promises made to you. Bob, you take Aussie's ring. And as you place this ring on Aussie's finger, repeat after me. With this ring, I marry you and bind my life to yours. It is a symbol of my eternal love, my everlasting friendship, and the promises of all my tomorrows. As you place this ring on Bob's finger, Aussie, please repeat after me. With this ring,
I marry you
and bind my life to yours.
and bind my life to yours.
It is a symbol of my eternal love,
It is a symbol of my eternal love,
my everlasting friendship,
my everlasting friendship,
and the promises of all my tomorrows.
and the promises of all my tomorrows.
We now celebrate Bob and Aussie's union with a symbolic sand ceremony. That foundation includes their families, their upbringing, and all the important steps on their journeys that led them to be who they are today. Diane Renning and Malus Dabiri will now pour soil from the farm in Iowa where Bob grew up in Tehran, Iran, where Aussie was born and raised. This foundation will support them in their love as they grow and change together.
I've been waiting for this moment for so long. An answered prayer, I know you are the one. I give to you my heart and soul with a love that will never grow old. In my life, I can see that you were made for me. You'll be there to catch me if I fall.
Bob and Aussie, today you are making a lasting
All the
commitment
days
to share the rest of your
I
lives
have
with each other. That commitment is symbolized through the pouring of these two individual containers of sand, one that represents Bob and the other that represents Aussie. All that you were and all that you are
I thank God for the gift
and all that you will be.
given me.
Each of you comes to this relationship with unique strengths, vulnerabilities, and histories. As individuals, you are beautiful people all on your own. Yet when the two of you are blended together, you form something even more beautiful. As the two containers of sand are poured into the vase, the separate colors of sand now blend into a new color. You have now blended your families into a new family. And as you start your journey in marriage, loving and strong, as husband and wife, as inseparable as these grains of sand.
All the days I have prayed and the love that I have saved. With this ring I'm giving you my own. With this ring.
Now, Bob and Aussie, on the authority granted to me by some very obscure website and by the state of Minnesota, I can now officially, and unbelievably as it may seem, legally pronounce you husband and wife. Now, at this point, most husbands get to kiss their wives, but in Persian tradition, apparently not quite yet, Bob. First, let's take a moment to pray. This prayer by Max Lucado was chosen by Bob and Aussie for this special moment. Please bow your heads. Lord, would you take these two of dust and bone, born of flesh than you, would you make them one? Would you speak again the words you spoke when Adam slept and Eve awoke? Would you let your wine replace our water and look with grace on this son, this daughter? O Lord of Eden, in your majesty, create again your tapestry, one heart where there were two. This is the prayer we lift to you. Amen. Now, perhaps the most beautiful and sensual part of the Persian wedding ceremony is honey at the end of the ceremony. The groom picks up a jar of honey. He dips his little finger into the jar and feeds it to the bride. She then does the same for him. And this is to symbolize that they will feed each other sweetness and sustenance throughout their lives together. Okay.
Yeah, we're done.
Bob, you may now kiss your bride.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
I love you.
I love you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, it is my honor to present the very first time Bob and Aussie Renning.